Hello, and welcome to Pest Perspectives, episode number 8, which was meant to be episode number 4, but due to some issues with a poorly bird, my guest couldn't make it. But this week we have on Karl Robertson from HF Pest and Bird Environmental. How are you doing?
Really good, thanks, Shaun. Thanks for having me along. Finally.
So, is your bird fine? Because I remember when you text me, like,
yes,
I can't.
yes.
I'm just
emergency visit to vets, all good.
That's good.
With slow recovery, but yeah. We're back on it.
That's good then. I got you on the podcast though.
Yes,
I have. That's all good. That is. So, how are you doing at the minute?
It is ridiculously busy out there.
Is it all bird work, or is it rodents, or is it a mixture?
We do a mixture. All of my techs are multi-skilled technicians. So we prioritize and specialize in bird control, specifically the use of birds of prey. But with that comes with a territory that you've got to be able to advise the customers on everything, and what we're finding, a lot of our customers, they like that, not one-stop service, but they like to be able to know they're in good hands. And the fact that a lot of our contracts allow us to be there weekly allows us to be a lot more proactive when dealing with pest control. And it also allows us to come at it from the environmental friendly side as well, because we don't want to be using the horrible, nasty poisons as much as possible, specifically if we've got birds on site. We're able to use our environmental risk assessments relatively well. And it all just ties up really, really nicely and how we deliver in our customer service.
Okay. How did you act before you obviously started your company? Did you work for any pest control companies previously? Or what's your experience on getting into the industry?
Yeah, so I love this question. So it all comes down to my father. Yeah. He was involved in pest control pretty much from 96, 97, I think it was. So I've grown up with birds of prey and with pest control. My weekends visiting my father used to be going out in the van with him when he was doing overtime and things like that. Yeah. My summer holidays was helping him knock blocks in Southeast London and experiencing all the wonderful things that Southeast London had to offer us back at the time. So I've been exposed to pest control from a very young age. And on the bird of prey side, when Dad launched that on the back of where he was within the business and who he worked for, I took a keen interest from there. But realistically, it wasn't on my agenda. It was very far from my agenda. Growing up in Tony Blair's Labour era, it was thrown down my throat at school that everyone should go to university, and I was no different at that point. So went through various different things in my head, got onto the course I wanted to do, love sports, really love sports. So got onto a teaching pathway within university, and I was going to become a PE teacher. And that was purely based on, I loved the lifestyle it looked like PE teachers had when I was at school. Out of all the teachers, they looked the coolest. They looked like they had it pretty easy compared to everyone else.
Until you tried it.
Then that was pretty much, that was my vibe. I did very well at school. It wasn't like I didn't apply myself, but that was the route I decided to go. And I did a summer of work with my dad to get some money before going. I got involved in proofing, cleaning, pest control, bird control, everything in that summer. Yeah. And we went for a family meal, and my uncle was there, and he's a financial advisor, and basically just got into discussions, and it basically came out and went, why are you going to university to get into around 30 to 40,000 pounds of debt and start earning 18,000 pounds a year? And we talked it over. I was like, So an idea at the time was, you could be a bookkeeper for your dad, and then you could do your own bookkeeping for other clients and stuff like that, which when you're 18, it was like, yeah. And you could charge the money. We got told, oh, you can charge this. Turns out, though, doing bookkeeping, those who are self-employed will complete it. It's actually really boring.
It does sound boring, to be fair.
So that kind of fell away very, very quickly. And Dad had only just launched what it was back then, which was Hawk Force, relatively early in that 2007, and I joined that year. So it was very in its infancy. And that was literally it. I haven't really looked back, and I've grown up since I was 18 in the bird and pest control world, kind of mumbling around, using his experience, but everything we've done, we've done for ourselves, which has led us to here.
Is the company you've got now with your dad?
Yep. So me and Dad have built it since 2007.
Nice. I thought I'd double check that one.
I
just flicked up the
LinkedIn
stream. It dropped out for a second. The LinkedIn stream. It did. Okay. So yeah, that's nice. I work with my dad. Obviously, we're not as big as yourselves, but you never know. Maybe one day I might take it further. I might.
It all starts with somewhere.
It does. So, how many techs have you got? I know you mentioned it at the start. How many techs have you got?
We are at 16 technicians strong across the UK, and we are we got 3 people in the office and a surveyor, plus the old man who's heads up operational, out in the field, training, that type of thing.
Okay. Your role, do you actually do Falconry, or are you go and set up the meetings?
My role's many hats, like you, Shaun, probably as your own. Over the years, I've done many hats. And to build what we've built and the direction we chose to go in, Dad always drilled it into me to be able to lead teams, and you've got to know what you're talking about. Which means that you can instruct and train and guide people a hell of a lot better if you know what they're facing on a day-to-day basis.
Is it kind of like they say you shouldn't ask someone to do what you can't? Is it kind of like that?
Yeah. And that's exactly it. So I have done absolutely every facet of the business as it's grown. And it's and I would urge anyone who wants to scale a business, for example, or be involved in building a business, do it from the ground upwards. It comes with challenges. I'm sure there's much easier ways to do it, but it gives me the knowledge to not just to help my technicians and the office and the things like that, but what the real key is, it just allows me to talk to customers in a real way. It comes from I wouldn't do it like that. It's real experience. And you're not BSing your way through it all, rather than pretending the guys can do that, and then you turn up to site and the guys can't actually do that because you lose face with the customer, and that's the main thing. For myself, I really do value the fact that if it comes down to it and everything, the whole world ends tomorrow and I need to go, I can still carry the business forward. And that's quite a nice feeling.
That's good. That is. I've still got a lot to learn on that front. I have, but I'm learning. I am. It's all, as they say, every day's a learning day, don't they?
Correct. My biggest thing that I've adapted, especially in the last 4 years, is find people that are better at the job than you. That doesn't mean the whole job. It just means a specific job. Find people that are better than you. And when you break it down, it's relatively simple. We hire accountants because they know much more about legislation and stuff like that for us to pay our taxes, not pay, and reduce how paying our taxes, not to pay our taxes, but obviously allow our liabilities to be correct, and essentially that's what you should look to do in all areas.
That's definitely true. But the accountants are good. They keep you. It keeps everything running as it should be. It does.
Good accountants do.
Good. Well, I suppose they're not all good.
Good accountants should want to get involved in your business because they should be a driver for it.
Exactly. So obviously, how did you? You obviously just started with you and your dad.
It was literally. I literally came in. Dad was doing. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought it broke up. Yeah, no. Yeah. So Dad was obviously had a key, how he thought it was going to drive. And back in 2007, it was more proofing focused than it was using birds of prey.
Okay.
And through various working partners that we still work with today, they took a keen interest into it, which allowed us to invest into our own things and our website and processes. And from there, it really, really took off. And it was just a simple idea that we've then put a lot of work and data research, because the biggest thing I hear, and I still hear it today, it's a PR stunt, bird of prey doesn't really work, and in terms of what's
people
happened,
still say that this day.
It's tough. I can understand why they say it, because it gets sold wrong. It's a good viable option, a green option, if someone wants to invest long term.
Okay.
However, if they've got the budget, then you proof it, because realistically, proofing is still number one stop shop. You cannot beat proofing if it's done well.
That's true. That is.
But where proofing becomes too expensive, too difficult, unpractical, bird of prey and bird management really comes into its own.
Okay. Is it a lot of them types? Is it more that, obviously, I'm not saying it's the client saying that term you mentioned. Is it other pest people scared that it's going to take the job off them if a bird's doing the work? Is it partly that as well?
Not at all. I just think people trust in what they know.
Yeah.
And proofing gives you, and proofing and cleaning, let's just say, out of pest control and trapping that we use, you can deliver a result. You go into a customer and go, if I do this, you will see this effect.
Yeah.
With birds of prey, we can deliver an outcome, but the outcome can take time.
Okay.
And from a customer, as we all know, it takes some understanding. And don't forget, a lot of our customers are not the end user. So a lot of our customers are the pest control companies.
Oh, okay.
They have to buy into it as well. And what happens is the resistance to sell it is, we only do it if the customer asks. They don't embrace it as a tool in the tool bag, effectively. It's only if the customer's asked us what you can do. And then that's where it gets a bit tricky, because it can be missold. Customer loses faith in it and things like that. And luckily, we've got very good relationships with all of the customers, and we can go in, deliver and say, this is the data. This is the trend we're going on. This is when you're likely to start seeing effects. And then we can relate that back with physical data, as well as just saying, oh, look, you've got less pigeons. We can use it as, a lot of the time, it's cleaning. So are you reducing your cleaning bills? Are you reducing your cleaning time? And that works as key indicators as well. But you've got to start posing those questions and get it out of their head that just turning up with a great big bird, the birds are just going to disappear in one go. That's our main fight.
By the sounds of it, do you work? Do you subcontract as well for other pest control companies if they want falconry work done as well?
So I feel yes, in basic we become subcontractors, and it's where we get we do a lot of business. However, I like growing relationships, so I see it as working partners, because the motto Dad and I have grown through the industry is, we don't care who we work for. We give exactly the same service to whoever we're doing, whether it's an end user customer or someone who's selling it as a mid bit. So, I'd much rather have a working relationship with 100 different pest control companies than having to pay 100 surveyors to go out, because the sales force is already there. And then if the industry buys into it as a whole, it just means not just more business for myself, but more business for other people that do it for, services like me, and it grows it, and it puts pest control in a much more brighter light, that we are looking at different alternatives and natural ways that are able to control pest species.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's not an area I know much about. It's not my field, but it's very interesting. I look at a lot of videos online, and it is interesting. It's a very different ball game. It is. It's would you say it's obviously going back from when you started? Would you say the use of falconry to do bird work has massively increased over the years? Would you say
something in the last? Definitely, I was thinking about it. So it's always been peaks and troughs. So we go relatively, we've gained momentum at a relatively fast pace across the years.
Okay.
However, and I'm still trying to work it out, in the last 2, maybe 3 years, something has clicked across the country to embrace the use of birds of prey, because the pace that the orders have now coming in is, we're no longer 2 to 3 a week. It's 2 to 3 a day, and it's different customers. And that's testament to everyone out there, and obviously embrace, in selling it in a great light. But it's the customers really, I guess, realizing that they've only got 2 options now. And specifically with gulls, you've either got to proof it, or you've got to do something to limit the exposure of gull nests, because years gone by, and I think this has been the real key change, years gone by, roofers, decorators, window washers, anyone could say, I've got a general license, and as long as they were up on the roof, they were removing seagull nests. That was taken away in COVID, and take the COVID years out of it. I think that cycle is now, people are just, they have to do something. So now it just, the pace in which it's coming is nothing I've not seen in the past.
Well, it's good to hear that is. So you have, what license you need to remove gull nests then? Because this is completely out of my depth. Bird work is.
You have to apply for a specific license through Natural England now, and it's on pure health and safety grounds. And that's really, really key, because the shift that people have gone through is, we've had it taken away from us. And I'm like, no, we've had it removed off the general license. However, if you are abiding to the general license to its core, it's the same practice. We've not got access to a general. So you have to go in, assess with the customer. They have to produce specific health and safety data that nesting gulls are causing genuine health and hygienes, and this needs to be documented, near misses. They have to have electrical reports if it's to do with risk of fires, roof damage. Essential maintenance comes into this. There's loads and loads of ways that customers can do it, but we need to drive the customers to get that data, not do the job for them. Or if we are going to do the job for them, charge them for it and not do it as part of the thing.
So there's a lot to applying for the license. It sounds like a really big list of to-dos. It does.
It requires work. It requires a bit of due diligence. And in some cases you will get granted one, but in a lot of cases you won't.
Have you been refused a lot before? Or is it the customer that gets the license? Then
the issue I have is with a lot of our contracts, we kind of explain that what we do, and over the years, and the amount of years we've had customers kind of shows testament to that. They buy into that process, so we don't necessarily need that license, because we're collecting that data as we go. The one where the licenses don't necessarily get to go through is because someone will ring us at the middle of May saying they need to do a job, and the nests are already in situation. And that's a very, very tricky situation because we don't have the data. We're not going to have the timings. And those who deal with our lovely government services, no, they don't necessarily always move the quickest, even if you want them to. So that's when we really hit kind of brick walls with it. But again, opportunity presents. Well, let's see what we can do next year. What can we do? Is there a work around this, without disturbing the nests? Can we allow? And that's what we do. It's more like an advisory service at that stage more than anything.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks for explaining that, because I'm completely out with that. But I suppose there'd be a lot of people listening and watching that would have helped as well. That would have. With falconry, how do you actually get into it? Like, because you have to obviously find a bird, train it properly, not treat it like a pet. Is that right?
Yeah.
But you've still got to well look after them.
Yeah.
How does all that work? Like,
there's three questions. Anyone listening or gets involved, goes to a bird of prey centre, sees a show, that has to ask themselves, "Oh, I really want a bird of prey. Oh, I'd love to do that." Have you got the time to do it?
Okay.
Have you got the space? So that's not only the space to house it, but the space to exercise and fly it.
Okay.
And then have your family and friends got time for a bird of prey? Because the commitment you're taking on is 365 days, 24 hours. It's a big commitment. It's not like you can take them to a cattery or you need people that know what they're doing and how to look after these birds. So how do people get into it? Well, there's various different ways. My suggestion is to anyone, there's a training body called Raptor Awards. If you go onto there, they will point you in the direction of an assessor. An assessor will put you through the correct training procedure. From there, you're able to then probably use them as a mentor and then obviously gain the experience so the bird has the best life it can possibly have. If you're coming into the works for ourselves, we offer all of that training in-house. We also offer we have a network of what's called bird of prey centres. So if you haven't got the answer to question 2, we have the infrastructure to support that. So you can still operate as one of our technicians, but you don't have to look after the bird 24/7. So it can go back to its home, be exercised in pristine condition for the next day that you need to use it.
Okay, that's very helpful. That is, because would you advise if someone wants to get in falconry, try and see if a falconer will let you come and just watch them for a bit? I think
it's the best way as well. Best way, and then ask them questions.
Yeah.
Understand what their daily routine looks like. What does their week look like? What does it look like when they go on holiday? What does it look like? What does Christmas look like? It's these type of things that you take for granted.
Yeah.
That you have to consider. So, I would highly recommend that anyone, before jumping in, the Raptor Awards kind of points you in that way. So it's a great place to start.
Yeah, thanks for that. It does sound like more of a commitment than you would think, because obviously you're right. Christmas, holidays, I'm going abroad. Who's looking after the bird? Mm-hmm. Who can look after the bird? Because I don't imagine it could be anyone that could look after the bird.
No, again, the people that are looking after the bird need to know the signs of illness. Is it okay? Distress? What type of food to give it? How much to give it? And things like that, And I guess people have. There's as long as you've got that support network, then fantastic, crack on. But you need to make sure that support network's there before you buy the bird.
Okay. But it's not something I've actually heard brought up on podcasts before, that side of, the 365 days. But you are right. It's like a pet, but not like a pet. Is that right? You've still got to look after. It's not like they say a dog's just not for Christmas.
Correct. Yeah. And it gets likened to a pet, and I can, use that. But they're definitely not as a cute and cuddly pet, that's for sure. You know, they need a lot more looking after.
They do. So with bird work, do you also do? I hear a lot of these systems where you do a lot of the work where you put bird control systems in, like
So
a lot of this
audios, lasers, that type of thing.
Yeah, do you do that kind of work?
Yeah. We get involved. Same as anyone I'd encourage. No one solution solves the problem. Okay. And I'm very, very big on that a variety of tools always gets the job done better. So when I talk to customers and present them solutions, I'm encouraging the team to always encourage the use of birds of prey alongside a laser system or a bird alert system or a hawk kite or something like this. I mean, they all have their pitfalls, and you talk that through, but more is better. Okay. Always will be better. And people that go in arrogantly and go, oh no, all you need to do is we'll just turn up for an hour or so and fly a bird. Well, that's not what happens. And what we're trying to do is actually exhibit natural behaviors. And by exhibiting natural behaviors, we then allow pest species birds to exhibit natural behaviors, which is they don't want to be near a predator. It's an uncomfortable area to nest in. They're going to move on. And by having these other presences, so like your lasers, making them feel uncomfortable, your bird alert system sending out that distress signal that backs up the need that there is a predator inhabiting the area.
Is that what it does?
That's exactly what these things do. Yeah, it's all the bird alert system works very, very well.
Okay.
And an audio system. So it's a recording of a distress signal, pest bird.
Okay.
And if you've ever seen crows, seagulls, particularly, they rally around and move off when they hear this distress signal.
Oh, okay.
So when you have a bird of prey turn up, they do it naturally by setting off one and mimicking that. It just puts that there's danger in the area.
Okay.
So by bringing a predator onto site, it just reiterates that. The bird alerts are 24/7 coverage, whereas the predator just backs that up.
Okay, I understand. Because I once was told that the predator thing, was there a system that made it seem like say on top of the building there's fire, they don't want to land, or was that
fire gel? I think it's called bird free. I mean, we called it fire gel when it first came. So bird free gel is effectively a UV illusion to birds. Okay. So it's a pot of gel that's inside.
Yeah,
I believe it first came from China years ago when I was speaking to good old trusty Network Nige, who has retired in the last few years, used to work with networking pulses and Killgerm and things like that. And I remember him showing me the product for the first time.
Yeah.
And it sounded amazing. It sounded like it was going to revolutionize. We're all going to be out of a job because we just put these pots everywhere. But they, again, like every product, it has its limitations. Now, the pot itself needs maintenance because it can get dirty, snow, and that sort of thing, and that limits its effectiveness.
Okay.
It has to be placed like spikes at the right point, at the right, meterage apart and things like that. And if it's a high pressure situation, you have to use more. If it's a low, it's all those sort of things to consider rather than just chucking the pots out there. But the main thing, considering the bit that I learned about it, is it's very, very good when the bird's flying above to land. Okay. So if you imagine a building ledge, they have to come above to land, and then that's how it kind of lets off that illusion when it refracts that it's on fire. Okay. Now when they're flying underneath, so let's just say like a train station, for example, you have a lot of cross beams. It's less effective because they fly underneath and then come up onto it. So they don't see the refraction as well.
Oh, what have we done? Okay. Hello, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry about that. Yeah, thanks for explaining that. Because I did hear that. It must be. It's quite cool that it's fire. They think it's fire.
That's it.
But obviously, I've said using that system can be quite difficult as well.
Mm-hmm.
It can.
It's a very aesthetically pleasing system.
Okay.
because even when installed, you don't really notice it, which is what a lot of clients want.
Yeah.
When I first started, it was bird post and wire, which recently has made a little bit of a comeback.
What wire? Sorry.
Post and wire. So it's a post, and then you have a sprung wire that comes out. It usually elevates. You have a lower wire and a higher wire. And again, it was an alternative to spikes.
Okay. Now you say it, I have seen some photos of that.
Yeah. It's a great product. Really, really effective product. Labor intensive, but some, back in the day, you'd find it very therapeutic. Chuck your headphones in, and then off you go, and you're installing it that way. So yeah.
Okay. So obviously, with with bird work, you have to like heights, don't you?
Yes.
I'll be no good.
Yeah.
I don't like heights.
I've
getting a loft space, but
it's not a fear of heights; it's a fear of falling. That's what I've found. As I've gotten older, I mean, when I was first started, I would jump all over the place, no problems at all. But unfortunately, health and safety back in the day, I had someone who probably didn't care so much about it and step away from a ladder. Luckily, I got away with just a major concussion, but that wasn't fun because luckily I felt the ladder slip and I wasn't very high. But I managed to jump off as I was coming down, land, but as I've come down, I've hit a railing, and it's absolutely, since that day, my confidence at heights, funny enough, is it's not what it was, but but we luckily, I've got a very, very good team who take that all very, very seriously now. So, unless we're really, really struggling, I don't have to go and do it too much anymore.
No, that's fair enough. That is, I mean, it's what your team's there for, to do the work. And I imagine with health and safety, when you go up that high, do they have the straps where they strap themselves on?
So
do you go that high?
We try to avoid ladder work where possible. We embrace tower usage and mutes as a default. Anything outside of that, we will defer to our own contract system. So we'll bring in proper rope access people and things like that to make sure the job's down safely.
That's fair enough.
It's just so much more simple that way.
It is, because I see many people. Obviously, you do when you're out and about, and it's crazy what you see people go up a ladder and jump straight on roof tiles with nothing. It's one slip, it could all be over.
Yeah, it's not worth it. And sometimes we say it's not worth. You'll quote a job, and then you'll come and job changes, and you've got the customer in your face, and you actually step back and go, "It's not worth £300." And a lot of people will think it is worth £300, and I could imagine a time when £300 meant everything to everyone, and especially in today's world, doesn't it? £300 can go a hell of a long way for people.
It can,
but it's still not worth the outcome that if it goes wrong. And there's a really horrible line to walk. But I also find the difference between DIY and commercial hilarious, because the hoops we have to jump through to allow it to be safe, and yet Joe Bloggs wants to paint his house or do his guttering and go down to HSS, rent all of this equipment, put it up really, really poorly, and then end up, really, really causing themselves hurt, and just to save again, probably another £300. And he goes around this, and we go around this circle, and I just like, it's just not worth it.
It's kind of the same debate, with the many products we now have that we can't use, but Joe Public don't know, and they just go get them off internet. And sell them as flyboards instead.
Yeah.
They slipped on the floor.
Yeah. Terrible.
But obviously I tailed off onto something else, but when you started with your dad, how did you start to do that initial scaling, like say your first and second tech, where you had this vision to build the company up? How did that come about?
that came probably about 10 years after I started, where I really, personally, Dad had a very key vision to what he wanted. And I think we achieved that relatively quickly.
Yeah.
And it was the next stage that becoming sustainable. Bearing in mind, Dad done it a long time. So I was kind of playing catch up, bearing in mind how I ended up in this career wasn't my first choice, had never thought about it, watched all of my friends go off in different directions. You see it from the other side. And it took a while to, I guess the term is grow up, especially at that age, and try and figure out what I wanted from it all, but what I was going to work for effectively. Because when you change that career path, that's where it was. So we got around to that stage, and I wanted to be not worldwide or anything like that, but I wanted to be in everything I do as good as I could be. And that kind of clicked in around 26, 27. I think it also kind of clicked, and I come home. The money started making sense, and life started. You wanted to do more extravagant things and that type of stuff, and that it all kind of just made sense. And then I got behind a desk around that time as well. I had a major knee injury playing rugby, so I got a lot more desk time.
Oh goodness, you like me? I broke mine twice.
Luckily,
not rugby.
Yeah, touch wood, I only did it once, but I did all 3 ligaments in one go. So that put me out of rugby for 2 years, and working in the way I was had to change, which then put me behind a computer. And it was at that stage that I got really interested in, how the business operates as a brain. And that's where it really grew, and optimizing delivery systems, optimizing our quotations, and then playing around with it and stuff like that became really, really interesting to me. And I still do it now. I sit here. I love CRMs. I love talking to people about CRMs and how they can upscale. The magnitude that you can use if you use it right. Can run your whole entire business. And up until the stage where I could literally run the business through the phone.
So CRM, what is the CRM?
Customer relation management.
Okay.
Now, so CRM effectively is Zero. An account software can be a CRM. It's where you put all your customer details, how you take that customer detail to delivery, and how you manage them through that process.
Okay, so it's not like job management software when you say
a job management software is the same thing. It's a CRM. It's a CRM. I call it a CRM because it manages the customer to job delivery. So customer rings up. How do we store that information? How do we then take that from to the quotation? How does the quotation then transfer into the job delivery? Then how do we invoice that?
Are we back?
Yeah, I'm here.
We both cut out then.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't know what happened there. So you were saying about the way you do CRMs.
And that's what I started. So I started with a little black file of facts, and that's how I ran the business. And I'd have all my direct appointments, and when we started getting staff, I'd write which jobs they would do in the file of facts and deliver that by text message on a Sunday and all that. And then I embraced Excel spreadsheets and, all that type of thing. And how do I store the customer information? So where we were delivering the jobs, how would I do that? So we had WhatsApps going. And then, I spent, I think, around about 2018 when I finally made a decision on the software that I wanted to use.
Okay.
I did various trials with softwares between 2015 to 2018 before I really decided on which one I wanted. And I've been with that software ever since. We're since in talks now to develop a new software. So I'm interested in that in the background with what people are doing in that. So, and I absolutely, I implore anyone to go digital ASAP because it just makes a huge difference.
Well, with us, we only we went to obviously MPTA's Pest Tech in last November. I was like, I said to my dad, I want to go digital, in terms of reports, etc. So we had a look around all the stands, and we came up with Powered Now. That's what we use, Powered Now.
Yeah.
But we actually have all our commercial clients now fully digital reports now.
Good.
But we only started actually rolling that out in February. But it's working out how to use the thing. Everyone's always easy, but because we had the paper diary up until last Tuesday, and we still have one for backup.
Yeah, okay.
You never know if you can't log in that day. But we don't have to kind of client and base you have. You'd struggle to get in a paper diary now, wouldn't you? You definitely would.
We did. Yeah,
you would.
But the key to any of it when you go digital is having clear processes yourself to how you can do that. And then what you do is you just play with the system until you're ready. It's taken me from 2018 to 2024 to use 100% of ours. Okay. Well, I say, and we're probably not even there, so I'd probably say there's another 10% to go because we don't use the asset function. We probably don't use the stock management function to the full capacity that we could use it to. But there's only so much you can do because you've still got to run your business at the end of the day. So a lot of this stuff for us, for business owners, you're doing this in your spare time as well. And you got to have fun. Otherwise, what are you doing it for?
Well, to be fair, if you were to ask my missus about it, I do a lot of this stuff in my spare time, obviously podcaster. But I do a lot for the business as well, on socials and stuff like that. I'm working on stuff all the time. But
that's what it should be. This whole construct that you should only work set hours a day and things like that. It's not what we run businesses for.
With regards to that, it's not something my dad's ever asked me to do. But it's something I do. But it's worked, you see, locally. The brand's quite well known.
Good.
It is because of locally, my face is everywhere.
Sure.
And on posts, etc. And I do a lot of content. But I was afraid to start with to do that because it takes a lot to put yourself out there. It does. But it worked. It got us a lot of work.
It's the hardest thing I find is being consistent. That's the hardest thing.
I've got to get it so it's scheduled. So every day content. I'm not there yet. I've got to do that. So it's all scheduled. I'm not quite there yet. I know a lot of people are, but I'm not. I want to be. I do.
The discipline to try and do everything. It's crazy. But you're absolutely right to go down that social media train because that is where our customers are. Love it or hate it, and people try to fight it for years. That is where our customers are.
You've got to learn now as well how to. So I've had recently had some nasty comments on TikTok, but I did ignored it. But it wasn't anything to do with pest control. It was a picture of me now and a year ago, and no one could work out that the concept of the picture was I'd lost a load of weight.
Right.
And they were going, "Oh, you're wrong," and all this. You've moved from the back of your house to the front of your house. Oh, that's how it didn't bother me. Because I learned not to bite. Because a lot of people come on post looking for you to bite. Because there's one comment once where he said, "Well, it depends what you class as a pest." I ignored it because I knew what they were looking for an argument. So I've learned what to reply to and what not to, what to ignore.
Yeah, and it's tough, especially for, like you said, someone who wants to use social media. You're doing a podcast, your face is about.
Oh, no.
People, for some reason, and I don't know where in society it became acceptable in the last 20 years, that they don't know you, but yet they can say whatever they want about you. And because they're hidden behind the screen, you're like, okay, I've just had it. But with mental health being such a big thing, I'm just like, how do you think that's okay? Like,
it's
although you're ignoring it and you're not reacting to it, it's still, everyone has emotions. Still, everyone's like,
and it's always the ones with no bloody picture, or they've got a cartoon strip or something. You've got a comment on LinkedIn from Scott Bell. It's been a pleasure working along. I can put it on screen.
Oh, he's
There
biased.
We go. I can put it on screen.
He's biased. No, Scott's brilliant. Scott's one of Scott's our surveyor, embraced the job last year, absolutely smashing it.
Very nice.
But secretly, so Scott's got a great story. He applied for a job with us, but Scott's got a secret name. His name is actually Mr. Scott Robertson. He's my father's nephew and my cousin.
Okay.
But he applied under a different name, so he didn't get any special treatment, anything like that. And came to the job. And do you know what? Been brilliant. He's a fantastic member of the team. He really drives the sales side of it. And so nice to hear nice comments, because we do have some in a sales environment. We do have some heated comments between the two of us across the week. So nice to hear that we do have a soft spot for one another.
Fair enough. Do you do any kind of bird work where you do shooting, or are you not into? Do you not do that?
Control is what I use the phrase.
Lethal. Lethal control. Sounds much better for podcasts and social media too. It does.
Yes, there is situations under the licensing we're allowed to that lethal control is unavoidable.
Okay.
And this is basically it's health and safety. Purely and simple health and safety. We've tried all other options. They are not working yet. The birds mostly are feral pigeons, because everything else is very much, slightly harder to go down those rules.
Okay.
But pigeon and pigeon guano specifically possess and pose massive health and hygiene and health and safety complications to commercial customers, and even people, guys at home, because the dust spores, the slip hazards, the diseases that they can carry, so the control of them is required, and lethal control is the last option in extreme circumstances. With
pigeons, do you have to prove it? Do you have to do a whole list and prove it?
You have to demonstrate. And I think the difference is between demonstrating and proving it is, and we've spoken about, treatment reports in pest control are invaluable. Everyone should have a treatment report. Because that's your legal document that if anyone comes at you, that's what you did, what you abided to, and everything like that. It backs up your method statement. It backs up your RAMs. So, but what you'd need to do is have a paper trail leading up to that as well. You couldn't make, I would advise never making a one-off shoot decision, for example, or I would never advise picking the phone up and the customer goes, "Oh, I want you to go and shoot this thing now," until you reviewed the situation to what you need to do and documented it. And the key to that is documenting it. We shouldn't be doing it, because under the general license, it states all other options must be considered.
Okay. That's interesting. See, I don't know much about birds at all, so it's great you coming on here. We don't cover bird work. We don't. But that shouldn't mean we shouldn't know the legislation we're dealing with. Oh no. Yeah.
And that's the thing.
He's just reciting it all off. I did do it on my RSPH level 2 pest management. Whatever, storing it, say if you don't use it, you can lose it. So if the customer was to ask me, I would go and get the information and come back and tell them. I would. Yeah.
But I also think you made a point there, and I was having this chat with the team earlier in the week.
Yeah.
You don't need to know everything.
No.
That's what we're so pent up that everyone has to have every answer. When we go to these customers, we can't let them get one over on us. Google warriors and all this. There's nothing. I think personally with customers, it's better to go, don't know about that. Let me go and talk to someone, and you bring those people into the conversation with the customer, because it just shows a bit more professionalism that you're not trying to BS them.
Yeah.
And it strengthens that relationship. And that's just my personal experience. You know, if you don't know, don't put your foot in it.
That's true. Yes, because often you could say, "Oh, it might be this, but then if you could go and say, I'll come back and I'll definitely get back to you on that within months. Once I've gone back and found out exactly, and it makes you look better, as you say, more professional. It does."
And we all stick to the products that we know. I mean, someone asked me, I saw it today, actually, I was with a customer, and they've got these good-natured traps. Now, I've seen them. I've seen them on social media. I've spoken to reps about them. But do I know how they work, what they're for, and when scenarios we should use them for? No, because it's not a product that I've embraced to sell.
Okay.
That doesn't mean I shouldn't do, but it's just not something that's come up for me to think about at the moment, because we've got our own methods and things like that. However, if a customer comes across and says, you come across these things, then I would 100% pick the phone up, bring the suppliers in, and get them to sell the product for me.
Okay.
Because we're here to sell pest control. They're there to sell pest control products. And that's the way I see it.
I use good natures for squirrel jobs. I do, but they either work or I find they either work or they don't.
That's what someone said to me today. There's a counter on them. I think he said it had 15, and he goes, but I haven't seen 15 to come and collect. So
something happened. Something happened, and we use that along with the the tube ones. Tube trap. We find them highly effective. The tube ones.
Tunnel traps, I think, and
that's it.
Is it the green boxes with squirrels? I don't know what the exact name is. I call them green boxes because they're green and they're boxes.
Yeah, I've not got
traps go really, really well in them, and they work very well as well.
Yeah, but no, you're right. You're right. If you don't fully embrace them, you haven't used them, you can't have an opinion on it, can you? Really, because you haven't experienced using them. You haven't. It's like all things. Sometimes they work great. Sometimes they don't.
The one that gets me with bird control is the plug in the wall ones. You get them from mice as well. The audio, electromagnetic, and all that sort of stuff. And you're like, and I'm like, I wish I could give you the best, but the most professional answer I can give you, there's not enough evidence to say they do work, but there's no evidence to say they don't work. So as a DIY product, crack on, but it's not something that I'm going to sell you. So
no, I have seen them before where a customer was adamant they worked, and they didn't work. I'm about the sonar device. You've seen the sonar plugs, and I just said, "Why have you got a problem, man?" That was kind of the point. It was. So let's have a look. So someone's commented on LinkedIn. SBB Environmental Service. Good natures are good for countryside type jobs. Lessons the use of poison. Good things when they work.
Fantastic.
So it's like someone else saying that they don't always work, but they are good when they work. We had one job where we knocked 7 squirrels. We got rid of 7 squirrels off a site through the good nature. So it does work. It can work. Because the idea is they get dragged off and eaten by a badger, bird of prey, and for anything that wants it, fox. And that's the idea, that you never see it.
Ecosystem theory, then.
Yeah. That's kind of the idea is.
Okay.
But thanks for watching SBB Environmental Services. And Scott Bell and everyone else watching. Say hello in chat if you want to. With what kind? Have you had any unique bird control or any projects within the business? It's been something very special. You don't have to mention names. Anything unique that you've never done before, or where you've had to customize it for a certain site or anything like that. Do you do things like that where it's got to be specialist made or just something unique?
There is an out-the-box solution that we sell. The experience that we've got, people can just ring me up. What do you suggest? That the ones that I really do enjoy is the ones that pose different risks and different scenarios. So things like we've done nuclear power plants, we've done offshore rigs, we've done
Wow.
Sports stadiums, which
Very
is my
nice.
favourite. I love name dropping sports
Wow.
stadiums that we work at. We've just started a new one this week, which is great.
Wembley?
No, watch that
No.
space in that though. But no, no. Yeah, they're second in the league. Let's go for that.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
But yeah, we started that. I've got it somewhere still. We still do it. We do the London Stadium as one of through one of our customers, one of our pest control suppliers. We do that through.
Okay.
Now we've done that for years with them, and we went through the Olympics with them. So we were there when it was being built. So we've been there the whole entire time since before 2012.
Okay.
And we got a special certificate, those that are involved, and saying thank you very much for being an integral part. The best part about that, is we got the special car passes for the Olympic lanes.
Yeah.
So
because London was a gridlock, and you were like burning past. I imagine.
So the special bus lanes. We could get across London relatively. It was lovely. So
nice.
We done that. Special projects. The best project I got involved in was over in Doha through a architect, and they wanted to basically they were designing new local authority offices effectively over in Doha. So they got in touch with us, and they needed to protect the ceremonial building, which is called the Dewan.
Okay.
And we had to basically put together a bird of prey program, go over there, teach the locals how to do bird control without killing, because obviously they just use it as hunting. And then they took that on and adapted. That was a really cool project. So going into some fancy architect offices when I was like 21, then we got flown over.
Nice.
Well, I didn't, but they got flown over, and then teaching the guys and things like that how to do bird control. That was probably the best project I could say that was really, really unusual.
What country's that from?
Qatar. Middle East.
Middle East. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So a lot of bird control over in Dubai mainly now that you see.
Did you work abroad? Did you work in
Dubai? No, I've not got that
not
far
yet.
yet. Not yet. No. It's something I'd like to do. Not long term for sure. I love the UK too much, sadly.
We all do. We do.
Yeah,
everyone moans, but you'd be homesick if you were.
Project wise, they're weird and wonderful. They come thick and fast, and doing what we do with a bird of prey on our arm, it's taken me specifically to just locations I wouldn't even think of going.
Okay.
We've done the Houses of Parliament, the Treasury. We've done British monuments. We've done. But even done the bizarre stuff where we've turned up, sold a contract for Islington Council, and it turns out just to be one small monument outside a garden. And we've done, food markets. We've done, it's everywhere and anywhere.
That's interesting. Really like food markets where you got wilder food markets going on. We've done
the O2, the O2 Arena. We've done Greenwich Market. We've done. We looked at Camden Market and told them where to whistle on that one because that needs some serious proofing down there, bless them. But no, we've done. My favourite was Old Spitalfields Market.
Okay.
That's a really cool place. I really like that one. Didn't like the time of day we used to have to do it, but I really did like that one.
Was it early in the morning or late at night?
It's like 4:30 in the morning, which was horrible. This is back in the day where we'd have to do one in central London and then shoot off the lower stuff to do another one and then come home and then don't miss those days. The bits I still am in awe of specifically is just those rooftops of London. We do lots and lots of rooftops across London.
You say some very cool pictures on LinkedIn. This is where I am today.
That's
very cool.
Yeah, that's the bit I don't think will ever get old. Just different views of London, and I love a city. I don't know why, but I love the views of cities and the character of London. And London's brilliant, especially when you're up on these rooftops. You can have a brand new complex that you're working on, and then there's a brand new building here and a brand new building there, and then literally in the middle, a teeny tiny church. And I don't think you'd get, and from what I've seen so far, you don't get that anywhere else in the world. It's brilliant.
See, with me, because I'm from the countryside in Rutland. When I went to London, it was very, because I'm used to clean, because I now know what clean air's like. When I went to London, it's how to explain it? It's like it felt really muggy, like it was muggy in central London. I was like, and my mate, I would text my mate, oh, it's all the pollution. It's not really muggy, it's the pollution levels.
Yeah.
Like, so when you're used to it, though, like my mate, he's used to it.
You're Oakham, so we used to play.
Yeah.
I used to live in Peterborough, so I used to play.
Oh, not far.
Yeah, quite away. I grew up there until I was 18, actually.
Yeah.
Oh. But Rutland Water, spent many a day cycling around that. But working in London, living in Kent, pretty much the whole time. Yeah, you do get a sense of mugginess and everything's pent up. Then you literally, we used to drive home and the greenery starts appearing more and more, and you just you start just relaxing, and it's a natural thing to come home. And you're just like, I like visiting London. I could never live there.
Oh, so you don't actually live in mainland? You live in Kent, did you say?
Yes, live in Kent. Yeah.
Okay. Isn't that classed as London?
No, we're definitely firmly Kent.
Kent. Okay.
Yeah, I'm outside the M25.
Okay. So, do you do normal servicing agreements like monthly places that you service on a monthly basis as well?
Yeah, we do absolutely everything from Mrs. Miggins, who's got a little rat in her house, all the way to big hotels, food outlets, and everything like that. We specialize in the bird control, but we also offer a quite high-end service in the pest control, with a real focus on service delivery over just agreeing to 8 visits a year and things like that. We really we do some really big stuff on that side.
Do you do any of them audited sites where?
We do. So we do a couple of bakeries that have audits. I think Salsa is one of the main one that we come across.
Big ones, that is.
They are, and I mean, obviously, it's scary. Audit, but realistically, if you download the standards, it's actually a really good thing just to adopt in your day-to-day pest control, and just if you start doing that, then you don't have to worry about these big sites. And it's I guess it's experience. It comes down to going into a small food outlet to a really big outlet. The risks are the same. It's just obviously the repercussion of that risk occurring is a lot higher.
Yeah, it is. Do you do wasp tests in the summer? I presume you do.
Yeah. I one of the ones I still like to get involved in.
Will you this year with the Vicam D being gone?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting this year. So we've had good debates on how we're going to deliver that service with the withdrawal of 5KMD. We had a couple of trials last year with a couple of other options. I think we've settled on the one we're going to go with. But we unfortunately with the withdrawal of 5KMD is a positive thing. Great product. However, too great a product because it was lethal to everything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're optimistic to what we're going to do. We're assuming we're going to have to do 2 visits rather than 1 to most options now. But whether we doubled our price, that's been the main really talk to where we wanted to do, because we know we're going to have to do a lot of follow-ups, but we don't think it's fair that the customers pay all of that repercussion while we find our feet.
Well, you gotta. We're still debating it. We think we might have to offer, just price it in for 2 visits, because you don't know, do you?
Yeah,
and
that's
wasps were my favourite, but I love catching moles.
Okay.
I do mole control. I presume you don't get into that.
I know the principles. I've been asked to do a couple. However, now that you know, I might have a conversation after this. But yeah, we do a lot of work for ground maintenance companies, which comes up a lot. And it's an art frame. It is an art form.
I've been doing it about a year. I've had very high success rates. But I'm still new to it. I won't claim to be an expert, but I've managed to be at 99. Well, every job I've got. But
that's great.
But it is satisfying when it's
are you going to give your trade secret, or what's your?
I haven't got any. I just use barrel traps.
Okay.
I use barrel traps.
But
there's no real
finding that sweet spot to where they're traveling.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to claim to be that, because I will get some mole control people on, by the way, just so we can get on. I wouldn't say I'm the best person to talk on it. I can do it, but I don't know.
Oh, fantastic! I'm
still learning.
Kudos to yourself if you're having a high success rate, because it's one of those that I think you do have to take time to do.
Yeah, you got to charge a fair price. There's a lot of people in mole control don't charge enough. They don't. But you have to make it's a business. It's a business. You got to make money. You have.
That we do.
Exactly. If you were, what's it called? If you were to give some advice to anyone setting up their own business, do you have any advice, as in a pest control related business? Have you got any advice for them?
It's the best and worst decision you'll ever make. I'll come to the advice bit. Your highs will never be matched by your lows. That's one thing I have learned. No matter how low you're feeling, it's actually not that bad. And the advice I'd give you is be clear with your idea.
Okay.
And write every idea down, because even though it's not a good idea today, it will be a good idea at some stage. And the fact that you don't write them down, I think, leaves me frustrated over the years. That you're like, oh yeah, I had this idea, and why am I thinking about this? And doing things twice is probably the most frustrating thing. And I see it with a lot of other smaller businesses and even larger businesses that you don't have the thought process for the future. And that's the key, like you said, we've said both earlier, have that ultimate plan.
I'm working on it. But
allow the bumps, enjoy the bumps, because it's when you fail that you learn more about yourself and more about where you want to go.
It is true.
Yeah. And the last thing, be kind to yourself, because I was having this chat, the biggest thing I was saying, the world's lonely enough as it is, so we don't need to stamp on ourselves and give ourselves a hard time.
That's true. That is. So another one, if anyone was wanting to get into, say, pest control or bird control, what would you give them advice on coming into the industry?
Do it. There's no, I think we are genuinely, there's a lot of other industries that I think are interesting. There's a lot of other industries that I think will be a lot quicker and financially rewarding you, is the best way I can put that. However, you will not find an industry as interesting, diverse, and thought-provoking as pest control. And like I said, it takes you on adventures if you really, really buy into it. And once you've got that pest control bug, you don't lose it. It's brilliant. So
I wish I got into it when I was younger.
It's a big problem. It's a big problem we're going to face in the next 10 years.
Yeah, in the next 5, I reckon. Next 5 years, they say half the industry is retiring. That's what they say, anyway.
I can see it. And, there's a couple of sticking points. I was having a chat with a few people. Van insurance is a it's a huge problem because it's much more relaxed now. So, 21 and over is quite good.
Oh, is it 21? I thought it was 30 and over.
No, if you get some good insurance brokers. We've got an insurance broker that does under 25s.
Oh, okay.
But under 21s are a bit harder.
Okay.
And there's you can do it, and I just think more insurance companies will do it if they can get the statistics through. That's all it is. Okay. But yeah, let's do it. Let's get. Who was I talking to? We need to somehow advertise, and I'm going to use this word, and I hate the fact that it's sticking in my head that I'm going to use. Okay. We need to advertise that pest control can actually be a sexy career.
Okay.
And that's the best way I can explain it. And it's going to sound really, really weird. But if we can actually say it's a career, and there's not many careers out there now that are a lifetime career.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge thing we've lost, that you can bounce around. But genuinely, you can do pest control here in the UK, and then you could end up doing it in Australia, Canada, America, Europe. Yeah. It's such a transferable skill. And then along the way, whether you do it for yourself, or you go through a large corporation, there's so many other skills you learn, business development, customer management, using computers. There's so much that pest control can offer. We just need to get into the schools, into these careers fair, and talk to people.
That's true. Obviously, I'm on the board of directors at the MPTA, and we are working on a lot of things to try and get more young people interested in pest control, and there is some ideas we're working on, and to try and get more young people, or just more people in general interested, because I don't think schools say, you can be a pest controller for a career. I don't think they say it.
So we spoke about it. My original aim with my podcast when I went into it was to discuss the difference definitions of success, and you see various people, successful people, doing a similar thing these days. And I wanted to take that idea and specifically say, what does success look like? And the idea basic behind it was, we are very, very judgmental over career choices. I.e., if you I don't have children, but I speak in the terms of people who come home and your son and daughter announces, I want to be a bin man, the instant reaction is to put that down. Oh, that's a terrible career. You'll end up being a bin man. All this type of negativity comes through. Okay. And it's perceived that you're unintelligent. You're not driven.
It's quite a hard job. It is.
Yeah. But what we're not saying is,
physically,
okay, well, cool. Be the best you can be. If that's what you want to do, go give it a go. See if you like it. We don't give those opportunities. All we do at school, and all that was thrown, is there's one channel. And if you don't fit in that channel, well, then you're disruptive. You're a negative influence on the class. You're this. And it's actually, well, no, you just don't want to go in that direction. And that's fine as well. And I think pest control and my other industry I work in as well, the two industries I work in, offer just something different.
Yeah.
To allow people that want to be artists and musicians and things like that. Pest control gives you a first career so you can do something else creative in the background. And I think that's for me, the really key thing. My biggest thing is a war on the education system, and just say, look, there's so many more other options to be successful.
There is, because you don't have to be, a lot of the, with the YouTubes and the TikToks, they all look at these people, got these big cars. With a lot of them, you find out they've rented it for the day. It's all fake.
But the key message in all of that, Shaun, is what annoys me is we've replaced professional sports people, celebrity film stars, all this sort of thing. They're very, very lucky, and they work very, very hard to get where they got to.
They have.
We've now got social media influencers, YouTubers who work every single day creating content. And what they don't tell you is how much content they've created that didn't make it.
Yeah.
You only see the good stuff, and everyone thinks it's easy. But what the key message they're all missing is, no matter what you do, you've got to work hard.
It is true. I mean, I won't say his name, but my brother's a YouTuber, and he puts videos out every day, and he makes a living. It's not on, I've got a Lambo, but he makes a living. That's all you need, and he works hard. He does.
Your lifestyle.
But everyone says it. Get a real job. Yeah.
And I see it we get a lot of young people coming through on and they're just lost sheep, because the question they've been asked all their school life is, what career do you want? What do you want to, what job do you want? And they haven't actually been sat down and go, where do you see yourself living? And then you've got the media coming back with the other way, going, you can't afford a house. You can't afford this. You can't do this. And it's actually well, you can do all of this if you actually just pick a direction and work. And you're probably going to hate a few jobs before you find the job that you might like.
Yeah, I just want more people to find that, because I'll be honest, I wasn't very clever at school. I mean, I went college, passed sound engineering, never did it. Got a dead-end job for 16 years, and went with my dad to do pest control. So I want other people to try and do stuff like pest control or something. Because you don't have to be within pest control. You don't have to be a brain box boffin to do pest control. I mean, I passed my RSPH level 2 in pest management, and I think one day I could do level 3. I do, because I've got a passion for it. So I worked hard at it. So I think it's an area where a lot of people, because there's a lot of people out there are more hands-on with their hands, that they're better, and it's a lot. They struggle on say the exams, but you can do it, and you give it a few goes, you can do it. But I think that there's a big sector of people that would be very well suited to pest management, because, as you say, there's loads of facets to it. There's you can even put digital marketing in there for pest control, admin staff, etc. And there's loads of areas that you don't actually have to be on the tools. If people don't want to be, there's the
industry is massive, and there's so much opportunity in our industry. Then you open that into the wider industry. Cleaners, huge. FM, huge. These are massive service industries that we're providing here in the UK, but then it can also provide transferable to get out there to see that. And that's another thing I hear. Life's bigger than Kent. Life's bigger than Rutland. And I get that. Of course, you want to go, but you've got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
And I think that's the message that I'm seeing, especially when we're employing and stuff.
Yeah.
They want the end part. They don't want to do the beginning and the middle.
Oh, okay. They don't want to work their way up the ladder, basically.
Yeah, I hate using the word entitled, but it's they've been given this aura to say, well, I shouldn't need to work. I should I should be able to do that. And it goes back to when we were probably children.
Yeah.
What do you want to be? I want to be an astronaut. And everyone was like, yeah, go and do it.
Yeah.
but you've got to work hard. How can you be an astronaut? Well, actually, you've got to get good GCSEs. You've got to get good A levels, and then you've got to do a degree, and then you've got to do this. And even then, you could still be the best. And you know, it's that dream. But I don't know anyone now who I talk to kids and they'd go, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a fireman. I want to be this, because it's just not there anymore.
I want to be a YouTuber. It mainly comes up.
Yeah.
I want to be a TikToker or whatever platform that is. But you are right. A lot of people, not many people nowadays, younger people, say that they want to be policeman, fireman, ambulance. Well, no, I do know some young people that are trained to be ambulance people, so that's not exactly fair. But a lot of people do see the YouTuber lifestyle, and they do think I can make one video, and I'll be overnight success. I'll be like KSI and the Sidemen and all these big YouTubers. It don't work. Most people make
the other side is
make their money out of Prime. You know the companies they have like Prime.
Yeah,
they make more money out of that than they do actually out of YouTube and deals outside of YouTube. They do.
Yeah, but all YouTube is our old TV and film stars and music stars.
Yeah,
because that's what the record companies would do, wouldn't they? And they just get spoiled with everything, and they, you know. But yeah, it's just hard work.
It's true.
You've got to work hard.
That is true, because it's it helps everything. Because although I said I worked in a dead end job, it taught me a lot. Do you know them workplaces where you didn't think they still exist? It's liquidated now. It's I worked in a flat pack furniture company.
Okay.
Very old school. The people there were very old school. What you nowadays you'd call toxic.
Yeah.
And you had a certain way of thinking. And I learned once I left there, due to working with my dad, because I was scared because it was in COVID when I actually went to work with my dad. They wanted me to come back to work, and I said, no, I'm going with my dad to do pest control. And I learned there, that's not, the place I worked in would not be acceptable for the vast majority of people. The old school ways where, boy, they'd shout at you and stuff. I learned a lot through doing it.
I'm coming very much from the other side, Shaun. The only job I've had outside of this, I worked for John Lewis part-time selling carpets on a Thursday evening and a Sunday. That was my job before I took this. I've never been employed. Well, you know, I'm employed to my company and I'm employed now. But it's all been granted that freedom, you know. But you work hard for it. You don't just walk into it. I wouldn't advise. It's been the biggest ride of my life, you know, and I haven't. And I do get envious of people that probably worked 16 years, was able to build a little nest egg and put it away, because everything we've put is gone into this, blood, sweat, tears, and here we are. It's been great. Love the ride. And the future's bright.
Definitely is. But what else would I say? But no, a good conversation on careers that was, because I do like talking about it, because it is, as we say, a big problem that's coming up.
Super important. If we don't start talking about it.
It definitely is.
Put it on YouTube. You might get them, you know, might get them to see us.
You don't realise this, but you're actually on YouTube now.
Oh, there we go. You know, with the
you're live on YouTube, on LinkedIn,
next YouTube. There we go.
But this podcast goes everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere.
No, I'm really happy to have come along. And
thanks. I will clip. I've got a clip feature, so certain clips will come up. I'll make sure a lot of the careers ones come up as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask a stupid question. I know the answer to this.
Yeah.
What's your favourite pest?
What's my favourite pest? Oh, is that my favourite pest to control, or what's my favourite animal that I control?
Oh, all right, and both. Could be both then.
So I love the fox. I think it is an incredible creature that is a victim of circumstance.
Okay.
And that's where I'd go. It's my least favorite, but my favorite because what I see foxes doing in today's world and where I see foxes get into, and just bold as brass. Love them. Favorite to control is seagulls.
Seagulls. See, I thought birds, but I didn't have a specific bird in mind.
Seagulls make me laugh.
Yeah,
that's what they do. They make me laugh. They've got so much character when you see them one-to-one. I drive around and I'll see random seagulls. I've got one where it looks like it's just about to cross the road, but it's at a pedestrian crossing, waiting for the green light, and it's just
really,
yeah.
Wow.
You see all the weird videos where it waits for the door to open, it goes in, grabs a bag of They're very, very adaptable creatures, and one of my early memories of seagulls in Brighton here is watching a guy. I think it's even like there's loads of stories now, but he was eating his fish and chips, and he goes like that. Seagull swoops in that way, and he back, and the seagull comes off the back and takes his chips off that way. But they are hugely, hugely adaptive species. We dealt with one last year.
Yeah,
funniest thing ever. So it's one of these school bus vans, the ones that mobile one.
Yeah,
parked up in a school. So it was a private business parked in a local government school in their car park over the weekend. Over the weekend, the seagull had decided to build a nest on top of its solar panels and lay eggs.
So if I don't know much about them, but if that happens, that vehicle can't move, can it?
Well, this is what caused an absolute stir, because the guidance is you cannot cause harm or move the nest. Okay. However, if you're driving, the nest is still there.
Oh, okay.
Because it's in a solid place. Luckily enough, the seagull it take off eventually, realize it wasn't the right place. But they're just so adaptive. They will literally do whatever they need to do. And I love control. I love putting in control programs. So we don't limit their numbers. We don't lower the numbers as they are classified endangered, in decline. Sorry.
But there's so many of them. They're in decline.
It's not on the beach, just not on the coastlines anymore. But we have to be aware of what we're doing, and naturally they are in decline. If you looked at and I do look at it when I started 20 years ago, they are naturally in decline. And the facts speak to themselves. They have to be. If as a bird controller before the general licenses changed, how many eggs and nests you were removing on a yearly basis, and then times that by the amount of other people that are doing it across the country, there is only one outcome: that population is in decline. So I like putting in management plans to control them, but also allowing them to move off to places to adapt. They're a great species to control.
That's good. That is. I always enjoy when I go on holiday. Every year I go to seaside down Skegness, Butlins. And the seagulls, that's it. I'm on holiday. I can hear the seagulls.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time that holiday's done, I'm fed up of hearing them.
4 o'clock in the morning. As soon as the sun rises, they're up.
But I do like hearing them. I do. They're good answers. I wasn't expecting the fox answer though. No? Do you control foxes?
We do if asked. It's not something I actively promote. We do it for a couple of key customers, but I do come to it as a measure of circumstances where I come to a lot of customers, and most of the time you can move foxes away naturally and make it a little bit more, just clean up after yourselves. Don't throw your KFC into a closed bin rather than an open bin and stuff like that. It's so simple.
But that's interesting. You might get an influx of people after you for foxes after this. He's after fox people.
Yeah.
I want fox now. I'm only joking. But no, it's nice that you offer it to key clients that need it. That is. But yeah, so it's been a fun time. Yes, thanks for coming on, Carl.
No, appreciate having me.
Who else would you like to see on the podcast?
Well, we've mentioned them. A mole catcher will be a really interesting person. Yeah. A professional wildlife person who just deals with wildlife would be.
I'll look into that.
A good interest. Who else could you have on? Someone from an office.
I never thought that works within pest control.
Within pest control that sees it from the other side.
Yeah, that is a good point. There, that is a good point. Different view, different perspective on Pest Perspectives.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously, you're going down the Pest Perspectives. Key clients that the industry deals with. I guess if you can get them on,
I'll try at some point with that one. But the rest of them, I'll look at booking because actually, I'm 3 or 4 weeks ahead.
That's good. But yeah. That would be interesting to see. Just you say definitely on Pest Perspectives, local authority officer, something like that.
I will look into that one because I know the Beauties and Beasties had it at EHL. Did you see that one? That was quite interesting.
I haven't yet. No, I've got a few to catch up on.
Yeah, because he used to work for Rent-A-Kill.
Okay.
So he's a bit more than your average EHO. He was, but that's a good one to. Learned a lot on that one. I did when it comes to kitchens and businesses, things that you recommended as well.
Okay.
But get a good torch was main advice. It's true though. It's true.
When I did my first when I did the level 2 back years and years ago, that was all you need. As a good pest controller, you should have a good torch and a pen and a paper.
Exactly. But yeah, so thanks for coming on, Carl. Sorry about my throat, my cold.
No,
I still wanted to do the podcast.
Thoroughly enjoyable, Shaun. Thanks for having me.
Would you like to promote or plug anything at all?
No, honestly, if those the only thing I would say, if people are out there want to know, like yourself, if it's something you wish to offer your customers and you don't know how, reach out to me. We're more than happy to work on anyone's behalf and advise. And even if you just want to have a conversation about issues you want to face, contact me. I'm happy to help.
Okay. Thank you, Carl. And I'll end the stream now. I will. Cool. So thanks, everyone. Also, if you're part of the British Pest Register, because we've gone over an hour and a half, you can have 1.5 points for this podcast. And if you are with the BPCA, you can use the BPCA registered CPD diary and self-register this podcast, and you'll also get points. Basis prompt, watch this space. I'm trying. I am. So that'll be all free once I've got them. But thank you for watching. If you could please like, share, and subscribe and follow on Facebook. Trying to grow the podcast, but thanks for watching. I'll see everyone next week. Thanks, everyone. See ya.